Hi everyone, I'm Gina K from Gina K Designs and your host of Stamp TV. Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you a few fun ways to use Deco Foil by ThermoWeb. Let me show you the tools and products you need to do this first technique. The first product you're going to need is some Deco Foil, and the colors that I'm using here, well, I'm going to just use one color, but I wanted to show you a few of my favorites. When people ask me what my absolute favorite colors are, I have a hard time because I love them all, but the ones I've been using a lot lately are the copper, the rose gold, the turquoise, and then the red. So I'm going to use some red for this particular project. And then I have some of the Gina K Designs Red Hot cardstock. I also have some Scor-tape. I have the 1/4 inch Scor-tape and the 1/8 of an inch Scor-tape. I have a pair of scissors, and then I have a plastic gift card, and you can use a gift card, a credit card, a loyalty card, any kind of card that you have in your wallet that's made of a more rigid plastic. And then I also have a piece of copy paper here. So this technique is a really fun way to use Deco Foil without having to pull out your laminator. And maybe you don't even have a laminator and you're thinking, I'd love to get in on the foil craze, but I don't have the equipment. This technique will work great. So one thing you can do with this is you can cut or tear little pieces of Scor-tape. And this is what I think is a really fun look for a background. But you may find that this is maybe a little bit too much putsy work for you, and if that's the case, there are lots of foilable image sheets that we have at Gina K Designs to create beautiful backgrounds too. But this is a lot of fun, and it's great if you're maybe stamping with some friends and you really don't have room to bring all of your tools, such as a laminator, but you have room for things like a roll of Scor-tape. So that's somebody calling me on my phone if you hear it buzzing. Okay. So I'm adding these different size pieces of 1/2 inch Scor-tape down my piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to add a few pieces of the 1/8 of an inch Scor-tape. I'm going to put those right in between. And of course, you can use a lot less Scor-tape if you want to take the time to cut each piece to fit. But I'm not too worried about that. Scor-tape is very reasonably priced, and if you want, you can trim off all of the edges and just put them on a piece of acetate and save them for using to put your cards together and things like that. But it does make it easy when you can just go over the edge. One thing I love about Scor-tape is the way that you can just tear it and you don't have to cut it. That really makes life easy. Okay, so then I am going to get my scissors out and I'm going to cut away the excess. Wait till you see how easy this is to create a wow background. Once I've cut away the majority of the pieces that are hanging over, I am going to trim this down just a little bit on my paper cutter. And this way I'll really get the edges nice and smooth. Let me get this out of the way. A few more of these. Okay. Boy, there's a lot of them, huh? Okay. Now, I'm going to grab my little Fiskars paper cutter here, and I'm going to cut a little bit off of each edge, just to get that nice and smooth. And then I'm going to take that down to 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. All right. Then my next step is to take that gift card, and this particular gift card is from a little wine bar right down the street from our retail store, Vintage 38. If you're ever in Greendale, make sure you stop by and have a glass of wine and tell them Tom and Gina K sent you. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just really making sure that I have great contact throughout the entire strip to the cardstock. And now I'm going to peel away the tops of each of these pieces of tape. This would be a really fun little background for Christmas, because it kind of reminds me of candy canes. So if you used the white opal Deco Foil, that would be really pretty, or silver. But one thing that I do like to do when I do a technique like this is I do kind of like to stick with a complementary, well, a color that is pretty much the same. Now these two reds are a little bit different, and that's okay because they complement each other nicely. But I like to stick within the same color family. This way, if there's any little parts that aren't perfect, it's not quite as easy to see, because red on red doesn't show up as much as, like, you know, gold on red. Okay, so there we go. I'll just push those little edges down. And once this is all done, you can always trim just a hair more off, so you could leave it a little bit bigger. Now, if you've never seen the Deco Foil before, Deco Foil comes in these nice long sheets, and you get 5 sheets of a color inside with some neat instructions on ways to use it. So with 5 sheets, you can safely get at least 15 full background cards. So that's pretty good. And then what a lot of people like to do is use the reverse part for a card as well. So let's see if that's going to cut it. I think that will. Okay, so I'm going to roll up the rest of this Deco Foil and put it back in the tube. I have some cute little hooks in my stamp area, and I just keep these in the tubes and I hang them all along the wall using the little hook that is on top of that. Okay, so now we want to gently, I like to put the foil face down and then kind of slide that cardstock onto it by just dropping it down like that. And if you miss a little area, you can always add another little piece of foil. So I'll go back and do that and show you. So now I'm going to use that credit card again to smooth that foil down. And then you might see some white parts showing. And if you do, that's okay. That's what you're supposed to see. That means that the foil is adhering, and then it's going to look like there's white parts showing through, but that's actually just the empty sheet of foil sticking up. And then I'm going to cut this little piece off the edge here of foil. And I'm going to put that over that area that's missing foil. I get some on there too. Okay, so now that I've gotten that all nice and pressed down, and one thing that I've seen people do is they've actually put this between the plates of their Cuttlebug and maybe added a little shim just to make it nice and tight, and then they've cranked it through, and that really helps to press down the foil as well if you don't want to do the credit card route or the gift card route. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this off. And you can see how pretty this is. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Look at that. That is so pretty. Now, if that becomes a little bit too cumbersome for you, another great way to use this technique is if you just want to have a little layer underneath of foil sticking out, but you don't want to use a whole piece of foiled cardstock. You can just use the Scor-tape around the edges and add some foil, and then put your panel on top, and you'll have a little bit of foil sticking out, and you won't have wasted a whole sheet of Deco Foil, and you won't have wasted a whole sheet of pre-foiled paper. So you can add foil that way and have it match your foiled elements and your different foiled pieces that are on your card. So let me show you a card I made using this particular background piece. Here is the card. This is just a nice big thank you card, and I used that Deco foiled background here with some of our black onyx and white cardstock, and then I used one of the greetings from the Massive Messages. Then I made this cute little foiled butterfly, and that's going to be the technique I show you next. So let me put this aside, and let me introduce a new product to you that I just love. This is the Deco Foil toner sheet. This is super fun. You get 3 toner sheets in here, and this is covered solid with the toner that will stick with the foil. So I'm going to pull out my laminator here. Now, you guys know that I have a couple different laminators. Now that I've been using them for a while, I have to say that the Royal Sovereign is absolutely my favorite. It's not the most expensive one for sure, but it seems to, the temperature just seems to work perfectly with the Deco Foil. So let me show you what I did. I pulled out one sheet of toner paper, and then I grabbed a couple of my absolute favorite dies. So here are some of my dies that I like. I just love these. These are from the Snowflakes collection. These are the Cheerylin Snowflake dies. And then I also have the mini Fanciful Flourish die. And then this is the Gina K Designs Flutterby die. And that's the one that I used in this card. That's the same one. So what I did was I took my dies and I ran them through the Cuttlebug, and I ended up cutting them out onto the toner paper, and this is what they looked like once they were cut out on the toner paper. So the toner paper is very thin and it cuts beautifully with dies, and then the dies just slip right out. So here I have a piece of parchment paper. Now you can either use parchment paper or you can use just a folded in half sheet of copy paper. Either one will work. And then what you're going to do is you're going to place your cut pieces that you cut out with the toner paper onto either the parchment paper or your piece of copy paper. And then you're going to choose a piece of foil. And here I have some rose gold foil. So I'm just going to lay that on top, and I'm going to sandwich that in between. Now I'm going to gently pick that up, and I'm going to run that through the laminator. And what I love about this is the laminator just does all the work for you. It'll just pull it right through. Some people have run their pieces through the laminator more than one time. I've done that, but I have to tell you that the Deco Foil works great if you just run it through once. So I really haven't had any trouble at all using the Deco Foil products. So this is coming out the back. You do want to make sure your laminator is heated up enough, and I turned this on right before I started talking to you guys, so that had a little bit of time to heat up. All right, so now let me show you how pretty this looks. I'm going to peel these off. Here's my first one. Oh man, this is so pretty. Look at that. That is a gold foiled Flourish. Isn't that beautiful? Woo! All right, and here is my gold foiled butterfly. Look at that one. Oh, that's so nice. And then for Christmas, if you want to do some Christmas cards and you want foiled snowflakes, there is a gold foiled snowflake. And of course, you can use all of these pieces that are left behind by using a little bit of spray adhesive on the back, or maybe putting a little bit of glue stick down on a piece of white cardstock. and then laying those pieces down onto that glued cardstock, and again using a gift card to get that nice and flat. Let it dry, and then you can trim those out using dies, or you can fussy cut them. You can also do that with the background pieces and make the reverse background. So that is a really fun way to use the Deco Foil toner sheets. This next technique I've showed you before, but I want to give you a little sneak peek of something that just hit the Gina K Design store. These are some of our new holiday foilables, and here is a little piece of one of the Snowflakes. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Oh, that's so fun. And then I also cut out two of the greetings. These are two of the holiday greetings. This is Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and Have a Holly Jolly Christmas. So these foilable image sheets are available in our online store at ginakdesigns.com. And I want to show you a card that I made and how I made it. I decided for this one to go completely non-traditional as far as colors go. So I'm using some ocean mist and some jelly bean green. So I'm going to start with the ocean mist and grab a sponge dauber. And then I'm going to add some of that ocean mist all over the surface of this foilable image panel. I just love these foilable image sheets. They're so fun and so quick and easy. And when you're thinking holiday cards, you're thinking quick, easy, but you really want to wow, and these absolutely do it. So now I'm going to use some of the jelly bean green and add some of that in there. Total non-traditional look, but so much fun. Whimsical. Okay, let's add a little bit more ocean mist to that. Get a little bit more of the blue in there and blend it into that green a little bit. So that'll give us more of a turquoise. Okay. I like that. Get a little green on this part here too. Okay. So now I'm going to take this panel and I'm going to use some of the rose gold. And I think the rose gold just looks spectacular over bright colors. So let me grab that parchment paper again. And you can use the same piece of parchment paper quite a few times before you need to replace it. I think at least 10 times. But I would just keep using it until you can't use it anymore. All right, and now this is going to go through the laminator with the rose gold on top of that beautiful jelly bean green and ocean mist. And then I'm also going to foil one of these greetings. So I love this one. I did this one for a Christmas book coming out, and you guys will all get a chance to hear about that. So I'm going to put that aside and let that one be a surprise, and I'll use this one for this card. So I'll put that on top. I can do this one through the piece of copy paper, just to show you that you can use either. But here is that background. Look at that. Oh, that is so pretty. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Okay, we'll put that aside, and then we'll put the greeting through using the piece of copy paper. And you can see what I mean by being able to reuse these backgrounds. You can just lay that down with some adhesive and trim that out, and that is just as spectacular as the reverse. Beautiful. All right, so we have this piece ready, and out comes the greeting. It doesn't matter how many times you do this, every time you just gasp. It's so neat. Okay. So here we go. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Isn't that pretty? Okay, now I want to show you a finished card that I did using these pieces. And the card is super easy. There's not much that you need to add to it. Here it is. So all I did was add a panel of black onyx cardstock behind it and wrap a little bit of fancy holiday ribbon around it and made a bow and put it on a white card base. And earlier I showed you these pieces, right? I showed you these foiled flourishes and things like that, and I was looking at this and I thought, boy, that flourish would be so pretty just tucked behind there somehow, like just coming right out of that ribbon like that. Look at all that shine. Isn't that spectacular? Needless to say, I am completely hooked on foil and love how quick and easy it is and how professional it looks when it's done. So classy. So there is a finished card project. And here's the other one. I hope you've enjoyed today's Stamp TV video. Stay tuned to Stamp TV for more videos, and thanks so much for watching.